What's going on, guys? Thank you for joining me. I was not originally planning on doing this, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of last minute tricks since we got the SAT this weekend. I'm assuming that you guys are taking it if you're watching this, but if not, it's going to help out for December or any other future dates as well. I'm going to just go ahead and get right into the content here. So let's get started. And why don't you guys let me know what your goal score is for this official exam that you're going to be taking next, whether it be the one this weekend or the one in December or even sometime in the spring. Let me know what you're aiming for. And while you're typing that into the chat for me, just a couple of things before we start. So all the questions that we go over in this are actually going to be rated hard according to College Board's question bank, and they're all going to be from the question bank. So there's no spoilers from practice exams, but they are from the College Board question bank. And the reason I'm going with hard questions is I wanted to show you guys that using these tricks, you can get the correct answer on questions that are considered hard by College Board. So that's the logic behind that. I would encourage you to try each question on your own first. Especially if you're watching the replay, you could pause the video and go ahead and try the question out on your own. That way you get a little bit of practice. And then as far as questions go, I will be doing Q&A at the end of the class. So just keep in mind that I'm not going to be really answering any questions until then. All right. And just to say what's up to a couple of you guys, looks like we got some 1500s, closer to 1300 goals here. Hello, Jonathan. Hello, UC. Hello, Frank and Blocks. One more thing, just FYI, this is actually a class for my Academy members that I decided to go ahead and live stream. The Academy that I'll be talking about in a little bit is new, just launched it a couple weeks ago. So because we have so few people so far, and the first class that I did, I only had one attendee. I decided to go and open this one up to you guys as well. So normally these classes, if you are an Academy member hanging out in the chat right now, normally these are going to be Zoom classes and we'll have more like one-on-one interaction. Anyway, let's get into it. So tip number 1, ignore English graphs and charts. So we've got one of these terrible, terrible command of evidence questions. And the great news is we're going to ignore this guy. So let's get a little bit better of a view on this. And as we ignore these, we do need to focus on something. What we're going to focus on is the goal or the claim or the hypothesis or whatever it is. And in this case, we are looking at the hypothesis. So the scientists hypothesized that municipalities are much more likely to respond and offer incentives if expansions can be announced in time. And I'm focusing on these parts of the question because I understand them and they seem to be like components that need to be involved in the answer. So basically, we need to see a comparison between two different time conditions. So like announced in time versus not. We need to have respond and we need to have offer incentives. So if all 4 of those things are not in an answer choice, I can automatically get rid of it, which is nice. So looking at choice A, for example, I'm seeing before the next election, so that would be on time. I'm not seeing anything about offering incentives. It's just talking about responding. It's also only giving me one time condition. So I'm going to say that A is out. B, it says the proportion that responded or offered incentives, so we have both of those that I want, didn't differ across timing conditions. That has everything that I'm looking for as well. Choice C mentions responding, mentions incentives, but it only says an announcement before the next election. So that would not have both timing conditions. And then the last one here, of the municipalities that received an inquiry mentioning plans for an announcement date after the election. So this one has after the election. Mentions, respond, and incentives. And there's other issues with these answers as well. But what I wanted to show you guys is if you can focus on components that need to be involved in the answer, and you notice like, oh, this doesn't have all four of the things. This doesn't have all four of the things. The one answer that has all four of the things might just be your answer, and you don't even have to look further than that. So tip number one, ignore the English graphs and charts. And I have a whole video on that if you guys want to watch that, where I go into way more detail on what that strategy looks like. But let's move on to the next step, which is just straight up to use the cheat sheet. And in case you're not aware, there is a cheat sheet built in to Blue Book. It's called the reference sheet. I'll show you guys that in a second. But let's say I'm working on this problem and I'm saying to myself, I don't know what the heck a right circular cylinder volume is. I don't know the formula for that. What's going on here? No worries. I'm going to simply grab my cheat sheet. That little reference button right there will pull it up. And then it's going to look a little bit something like this. So I look down here and I'm like, cool, that's a cylinder. That's my formula right there. Now, we got to be careful because it's telling us that the circumference of the base is 20 pi meters. So basically like the top and or the bottom of this thing would be 20 pi meters. So I also need to think about the formula for circumference. And in case I forgot that, that's hanging out right here as well, 2 pi r, right? So basically 2 pi r is going to be equal to 20 pi. And I'm setting this up mostly just because this is the only information I have. But as soon as I write it down, I'm like, oh man, I can solve for r, right? We get rid of the pi, and then r is going to equal 20 after we divide by 2. That's cool. And then I can plug that into the volume formula, right? So because all the answers have pi, I'm just going to ignore the pi. Basically, I want r squared times height. Sorry, 20 divided by 2 is not 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. That would be crazy. And then 10 squared is 100. So remember, r squared times height. They say the height is 6, so 100 times 6 is going to be 600, right? And then remember that pi that I ignored. So the answer has that pi for me. So choice C is going to be our answer. All right. Moving on. Importantly, while we're working on this, I do, guys, want you to participate in the SAT with me, which is the super awesome throwbacks. Chat, if you know what quote this movie is from, please type it into the chat now. It is a 1999 movie, and the quote is, "There is no spoon. There is no spoon." And I will reveal the answer to you in 3, 2, 1. That's the Matrix, folks. I don't know if anyone got it. I think the chat's a little bit delayed for me, so I'm not sure. But I guess we'll find out. All right. Moving right along here. Good on you, Saji. My next tip for you is going to be to skip the notes for rhetorical synthesis, at least at first. The reason being is 9 out of 10 times, we're not going to need to look at them at all. So we're going to ignore these notes. In fact, I think I already premeditated this. Yep. We're going to ignore these notes. And what we do want to focus on, kind of like with the command of evidence questions, we want to focus on the goal. So the goal in this case is present the primary aim of the research study. And just remember, if they're talking about an aim, that's like what the researchers or the scientists or whatever are trying to figure out, or like, yeah, basically what they want to know. So looking at choice A, they wanted to better understand the mechanics behind bird nests. And I'm just saying because to better understand something is an aim, so that works. But I don't want to just choose it. I need to eliminate answers that don't fit in case there's more than one that works. Choice B, they used models and simulated stuff. This is telling me how they did it, not what they were hoping to figure out. Choice C, ooh, this is tricky. After doing this stuff, they found that something. So something that they find out is a finding. It is a result. It's not what they were trying to figure out when they set up the experiment. So those two can be similar, because if they find what they're looking for, the result might end up being the same thing, but the aim is going to be a bit more broad, right? So like here it says to understand the mechanics. A result might be like the mechanics are, such and such. So C doesn't work. D, that's going to be another result. So D is out. And then just like that, we got choice A. And this is why I recommend skipping the notes, because this is going to happen most of the time. Yes, Pumpkin, this is live. Although I'm probably responding to you 5 to 10 seconds later because there's a little bit of a delay. That's just how live streams work on YouTube. But yeah, this is live, man. All right. Moving on to the next one. Same tip. You want to skip the notes at first, because sometimes you're going to run into one of these punks. So I'm supposed to describe how DLS cures 3D objects, right? This is my aim. How DLS cures 3D objects. Looking at choice A. I'm not seeing anything about curing objects. It's just kind of telling me what DLS is, so I'm going to get rid of A. B, DLS cures objects. That works. C, to cure a 3D object. C also works. D, wherein the curing is completed. So D mentions curing, but it doesn't say how DLS cures objects. It just says that the curing is completed. So that one, like, I might keep around, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. I could see an argument for keeping it, though, in case you're thinking you could. And then looking at choices B and C, now I have two that work. So at this point, I would actually look at the notes and I would say to myself, okay, what is actually wrong? And I don't want to read the notes and then try to match them with the answers. I want to do the opposite. I want to start with the answer and try to find something wrong with it. So starting with choice B, it says DLS cures objects by passing through a dead zone. DLS passes through a dead zone. Let's look for that. We have a dead zone. UV light passes through a dead zone. That's not what it says in the answer choice. So the issue is, what happens is UV light passes through a dead zone. This is saying that DLS passes through a dead zone, but DLS is just the process itself. So the process itself can't pass through the dead zone. So for that reason, B is out. And I think I saw one of you guys, I think UC, got this one. Choice C, nice work. But yeah, it's going to be our answer. All right. My next tip is to use Desmos for single variable equations. And there's a couple of different ways that you can go about this, but let me just kind of show you how this works. So if I'm wanting to do this one, well, first of all, if we have 5 t plus 3s and 7 t plus 3s, I could just think of t plus 3 as like its own entity. So 5 minus 7 is -2. So I could just put -2 t plus 3. And then importantly, I don't want to use equals. I want to use tilde. So in case you're not sure about it, this is where tilde is typically found on your keyboard. Click tilde. That's what it's called. I don't know why. And then it gives us the answer, negative 22. So that's probably the easiest way to go about single variable equations. Alternatively, if we wanted to, we could do negative 2. We could use x plus 3, and then equals 38. And then we just have to find the vertical line, which is a little bit annoying, I guess. Right? Apparently very annoying. Oh, well, I mean, I should have known it was negative 22. I was going the wrong direction. But yeah, alternatively, you could do it that way as well. There's a couple different ways, but yeah. So our answer is going to be negative 22, just like that. All right. I got another important SAT question for you guys. Actually, no. I have today's sponsor, which is me. So I mentioned this at the beginning of the live stream. This is actually a class that was designed for my Academy members. And Penguin Test Prep Academy is something that I just started a couple weeks ago. Basically, I had this full English bundle of courses that was working really well for people. And you would have to buy the course in order to access it. And what I've done now is I have a subscription model where you just pay a monthly subscription and you get access to all of those courses. So you get the full English bundle. You're also going to get live classes with me twice a month. This one I'm doing on YouTube, but normally it's going to be a Zoom class and we can chit chat and whatnot. You're also going to get access to all of the live recordings from previous classes. Like I mentioned, you're going to get access to those English courses, which is where you're seeing those testimonials from. I also have math courses that I am currently rolling out. I've got 2 modules out right now. I've got a 3rd one coming up real soon here. And basically, you get free like beta access to all those math courses. And as they roll out, you get instant access to them. There's over, not 800, there's actually over 1,000 practice questions now. I need to update this because I've added more. And then you're also going to get a little community support, basically like a Discord, if you will, where you have little channels and you can chat with each other and whatnot. So if you are interested, I think I have a bot telling you guys to join. I also have the link to join in the description of this video, and it's also hanging out right. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, so if you are interested, take a look-see. I really do think it's great value. A lot of people are already having a great time with it, and there's been tons of success with those who have just done the English bundle, and now I'm excited to be able to offer math classes as well. So, all right, sponsorship over. Let's get back to the tips and tricks. My next trick is going to be to use one sentence for sentence boundaries. We do not need to worry about this. We only need to worry about the sentence with the blank space. So, starting here, critics have noted the way pioneering blank. Oh, it says blank. I was reading blank and then I realized the word blank was actually there. Sorry about that, guys. Critics have noted the way pioneering blank compares the experiences of da-da-da-da-da to and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so you notice I'm kind of ignoring this stuff because any sort of fluff or non-essential information is going to get in my way and trying to understand what's going on with a punctuation question like this one. So instead, I want to try to simplify as much as possible. Critics have noted the way pioneering playwright Wakako Yamachi, I don't know why I always pick this question. I don't know how to pronounce this name. It's very embarrassing. Compares the experiences of this thing and this thing. All right. Well, I know the rule here, but I definitely want to hear if you guys do. Why is the answer choice D, which it is? Why is the answer choice D? Because aren't we supposed to like put names in commas? Isn't that a thing? Like, wouldn't it be this? Wouldn't it be choice A? What's the deal? If you know what the rule is, go ahead and put it in the chat. But basically, this is what I call an appositive imposter. So an appositive would be something like, my dad the silly man over there is really hungry. I don't know where this sentence came from. Okay, so my dad, the silly man over there, is really hungry. This is what's known as an appositive because I am renaming my dad. I could either say my dad is really hungry, or I could say the silly man over there is really hungry. I'm kind of choosing to give you this extra information about my dad. So it's like an additional name for him. And in this case, because this is considered non-essential information, we can get rid of it. Anything we can get rid of, we can put 2 commas around. We could also use 2 dashes, even parentheses. So like I could rewrite this sentence as, parentheses if I wanted to, or even M dashes. Oh no. There we go. Beautiful. All right. But this is an appositive imposter because if we're talking about playwright, you have to think, I only have my dad, my one dad. So when I say the silly man over there, my dad, we can understand that there's only one person who could be both of these things. Whereas there's got to be hundreds, if not thousands of playwrights in this world. So if I just said playwright Wakako Yamachi, and I got rid of the name, and if I'd said the pioneering playwright compares the experiences, you guys are going to be like, which playwright? What are you talking about? So that's what I call the appositive imposter. All right. Moving on. My next trick is to match the slope when you're dealing with infinite solutions and no solutions. This, for some students, is scary looking. But you have to remember, whenever you have either no solutions or infinite solutions, start by matching the slope because the slope has to be the same. That's like you're going to have the same slope whether they're stacked on top of each other or if they're parallel lines. And I'm talking specifically for, linear equations, right? So in this case, the slope, in y equals mx plus b, the slope is m, right? So basically all of the stuff, the coefficients for x, that's all I care about. So I'm going to say goodbye 36, goodbye 13. And we can truly say goodbye if it's no solution. We might have to come back if it was infinite solutions. So, but then these guys are going to be equal to each other because we have 3kx, and I'm just multiplying that, right? And then it's going to be equal to 48 over 17x. And now all of a sudden, I'm hooting and hollering and celebrating because I can get rid of these x's, and I like that because I don't want those x's there. So now we have 3k equals 48 over 17. And sure, I could get lazy and throw this into Desmos, but typically when you're dealing with fractions, the SAT actually makes it kind of easy for you. Because remember, if we want to get rid of 3, we can multiply by its reciprocal, 1 over 3. So k is going to be equal to 48 over 17 multiplied by 1 over 3. So now, I know you're thinking, that's still kind of ugly, man, but there's a really cool thing where if you're multiplying fractions by each other, I can't remember, there's an actual cool name for it. You can kind of go in whatever order you want. So as much as I don't like 17 times 3, and then having 48 involved, I could do 48 divided by 3. Which is just going to be 16, right? So now, all of a sudden, I just have 16 over 1. So basically, I just have 16 over 17. Now, if you're not comfortable with even doing like 48 divided by 3, you could just plug it into Desmos. That's an option. And, well, I guess I could show you what that looks like real quick too, huh? Hold on. I don't want to leave you guys hanging here. Come back, Desmos. But yeah, so if you wanted to do, so we had 48 over 17, you could actually divide by the fraction. So divided by 3. And then just remember to click this button here so it turns it into a fraction for you. So there's 16 over 17. Alternatively, you could also do the reciprocal thing, right? So 48 over 17 times 1 over 3. It's going to give you the same number. Just remember to click that little button. It'll turn it into a fraction for you. Or if you want to put the decimals in, the SAT accepts the decimals. I just always get scared. Like, what if I have one wrong number or something? So it's probably irrational, but that's, I'm an irrational man. All right, we got another important question for you guys, an SAT question. Hope you're ready for it. Name this gadget that came out in the year 2001. What in the world is this thing? If you know, please do type that into the chat. And I guess I could take a half a second to see what you guys are talking about. Oh, you guys are talking about a positive imposter trick. Very cool. You guys are just teaching cool stuff to each other. I like that. Can I do it all only with Desmos? Christian, there are so many things that you could do with Desmos. And I have to admit that I'm kind of annoyed with everyone just being like, do everything on Desmos, do your English section in Desmos. Because if you're going to do some of these really advanced questions in Desmos, a lot of the time you're going to end up wasting so much time, and you have to learn how to do these really complex operations within Desmos. You're better off just learning the concept. So like for that last one, we skipped a whole bunch of stuff because we know we're just going to match up the slopes, right? So if you know that one concept, you can jump into Desmos when you get to a point where Desmos is super easy. But I really don't recommend going down the route where you're like just trying to literally do everything in Desmos, unless that's your goal and you're just trying to flex on people with your Desmos skills. But not a big fan of that. In my math course, the very first module I have is on Desmos, and I do mention some of the crazy things that you can do, but those should be more of a last resort because they're really time consuming. I hope that answers your question. And I said I wasn't going to do Q&A, but I did, didn't I? Anyway, the thing is an iPod, the first generation, believe it or not. Not sure if you guys even know what that is. Apparently Christian did. Good on you. All right, moving on. The 7th trick is the odd verb out. And if you don't know this by now, you probably have not been watching my videos, but basically, whenever you see verbs in the answer choices, you want to do the odd verb out trick. And let me just get my face out of the way and show you this. So we're looking at this thing. We notice, hey, all of our answers have different verb forms in them. What are we going to do? Let's do the odd verb out. We're going to ignore everything, literally everything. We're not going to read any of it. We're going to put they and she down, or we're going to imagine them in our head, and we're going to connect those to the answer choices. What would we say? We would say they fascinate, but for the others, we would say she has fascinated. She fascinates. She is fascinating, right? They wouldn't work for any of those. What's the odd verb out? It's fascinate. It's the only one that goes with they. And that's literally all you have to do. That's our correct answer. Let's look at another one. In this case, we have they and he. And to be clear, you could use he, she, or it, whatever you're feeling like. I'm going to use he this time. We would say they are, they were, they have been, but we would say he was. Now, he was is the odd verb out. So either you're looking for the only singular verb when they're all plural, or you're looking for the only plural verb when they're all singular. And that's it. This trick has worked on every single SAT College Board practice question, every single practice test, every single official test so far. So I'm standing by it. It'll stop you from making silly mistakes too, because a lot of the time with these, they're going to put the subject really far away from the verb, and you end up getting tripped up by that. Now, to be clear, this is step one. If you have a question like this one, and you're like, all right, let's do this. We're going to ignore everything. We got they, we got it. They developing, it developing. Uh-oh. Neither one of those works. If we had like is, it is developing, or they are, but we don't have that. So we can't do that. None of these are going to work. So at this point, it's not going to be the odd verb out trick. We're actually dealing with verb tense. So either if both of them don't work for an answer, or both of them do work for an answer, because we could say they developed or it developed, right? So now I know I'm dealing with verb tense, and now I need to say, I'm pretty suspicious. We better take a look at the actual question here. And now I'm looking for surrounding tense. I notice premiered simple past tense. I'm going to match that with developed simple past tense. Bada bing, bada boom, and we're all good. All right. Chesnake. Thank you for sharing. You're going to be taking the December SAT and you're excited. I hope you do get the 1500 plus. And thank you for the love. I appreciate it. All right. Moving on to our last trick. I know I was just hating on Desmos, but let's talk about using Desmos. Use Desmos for tables, you guys. So if we look at this question here, we've got this table, and then we have this terrible constant. I hate constants. Oh no, what are we going to do? We're going to calm down. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to open up Desmos. Get my face out of here and change it with Desmos. Literally type the word table. As soon as I put the E in, it'll turn into a table. Very cool. And I'm going to put in my points, right? So we got -12, we got -45, we got 6, we got 45. And then I just press this beautiful button here. If you're dealing with a linear table, there's no way you should not be using Desmos, because it's going to create the thing for us. Oh my goodness, there's our equation. And oh my goodness, there's our line. It's telling me everything. So if it's asking me about 0.14a, well, heck man, there's a couple of different things I could do here, but let's just do this. We know that our equation is y equals 5x plus 15, right? Y equals 5x plus 15. And 1/4 is our x value. So I'm going to say with 1/4. Wait, why are you not working all of a sudden? The second I try it with 1/4. Oh, I have to say with x equals 1/4. Sorry. With x equals 1/4. Really? Oh, there's double width. I promise you it works. Okay. Yeah. So just give us our answer, 16.25. How cool is that? Alternatively, we could just do like x equals 1/4. We could find that meeting point, 16.25. But yeah, 16.25 is going to be our answer for that one. So for goodness sake, if you're not using tables, use tables. Just type the word table. It's really beautiful. It's really easy. And that's going to be my final trick for you guys.